what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on my page, on the Sports Web page. Of course, it's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about late here. What's going on, Jeremiah? Welcome to the Evolution as the first round has concluded and your Tampa Bay Buccaneers have made a selection. But before we start off, let's do it right. Let's start this Sports Web off right. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Joe Tryon from Washington, 8 sacks in 2019. Of course, he opted out last year. So they get an edge rusher that they can basically develop. 6'5", 262 pounds. What do you think, Bucs fans? Let's open up the phone lines. Let's get some reaction tonight, not only on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick, but the whole first round. What did you think of this first round of the NFL draft live from Cleveland? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Jeremiah says, what's up, everyone? What's going on? Christopher says, Midnight Madness. Absolutely. What's going on, Alex? Yo, absolutely. Joe Tryon. I don't think it's come Tryon. It's Joe Tryon. But are you happy about this pick? I mean, you have to be. Where the Bucs are going at this juncture, they didn't really have a need, right? A lot of people out there, a lot of fans wanted to see them draft a quarterback, possibly draft a defensive tackle, which I would have loved to see Christian Barmore, but they didn't go in that direction. They went with Joe Tryon, and it makes lots of sense. It really does, if you think about it. From the standpoint of, look at this guy, look at how he's built up, 6'5", again, 262, kind of in the same mold as a JPP, right? And JPP's getting up there in age. Of course, you re-sign Shaq Barrett. There's not really necessarily a need out there, so you get an opportunity to get somebody to help that rotation out. And that's exactly what you get. That's exactly what you get. So you don't have a guy that has to necessarily come in there and start right away because you're good with that situation, right? You're good with JPP. You're good with Shaq Barrett. You're good with Anthony Nelson. You're good with your defensive line overall. So Bucs fans, what do you think about this move? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let me go out to Ben Cornett. Like our pick, not the most athletic, but he's good speed, good technique. Joe Tryon should develop fine in Bowles' system. I'm definitely excited about the pick. I don't know about you. I kind of gave it away. I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of gave it away. Give credit to where credit is due. A lot of people had this pick pegged for the Bucs at 32. So obviously the Bucs didn't waste much time, did they? I mean, when the pick was in, the pick was in. They knew who they wanted from the very beginning, and they got the player that they wanted. So good for the Bucs. I think he's definitely going to develop in this Bowles system. I think there's a lot of question marks. Well, I don't necessarily think there's a lot of question marks. I think, look, he opted out, so he didn't play a full year. But again, you're not going to have the problem of having to basically start him at first. He's not going to start at first. He's not going to have to come in and contribute right away. He's going to be able to be a rotational player. So let me go out to Jeremiah. I wish we got Campbell from Georgia. I know who you're talking about. He's still on the board. I like the pick. I like the pick too. I definitely like the pick. So overall, what did you guys think of the first round? I mean, honestly, I think the surprise of the night for me personally was at number 3 with the San Francisco 49ers, as I had them pegged to go with the Mac Jones from Alabama, and that didn't work out, did it? All those rumors about the 49ers being interested in Trey Lance, they were true. They select Trey Lance, and then after that, the quarterback conundrum just, that was the story of the night. Of course, it started out with Trevor Lawrence at number 1, Zach Wilson number 2. Then you go Trey Lance. The Atlanta Falcons take Kyle Pitts, which we talked about on this show, could be the best player in this draft. I don't know how he helps the Falcons defense out, but I tell you right now, he's an offensive weapon. That's for sure. You have Ridley there. You have Julio Jones. You have a old declining Matt Ryan, but you get him a Kyle Pitts. You put him in that division versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense, and that's what the Buccaneer defense is going to have to be worried about. They're going to be worried about that. They're going to be. Let me go out to Ben. As soon as the Ravens picked, Arians was like, okay, call them. We got our pick. It's 5 hours past my bedtime. I'll go in and find that. Eric White says, so did I. Alex says, I was hopeful for Justin Fields to mentor under Brady. Look, I didn't think Justin Fields was going to last until 32. That whole Chris Sims BS, that's to create something that's not necessarily there. That's what that's to create. There was no way Justin Fields was going to last until number 32. And you could see why. You could see why the Chicago Bears traded up. Congratulations to the Chicago Bears. I like the pick. In fact, I like the pick Fields over a Trey Lance. Because if you're going into your season and you're the Chicago Bears and all the talk about Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy possibly being fired, you've got to make a move. And I get it. There's Bears fans out there. They're not sure about this. I can tell you right now, I'm sure about it. I like the pick. I like it a lot. I think it definitely moves the Bears into a possible division winner. And I'll tell you why. Because the other story today was Aaron Rodgers. He wants out of Green Bay. Lo and behold, Mr. Jeopardy himself wants out of Green Bay. You know why? Because they drafted Jordan Love last year. That's why. And he basically admitted to drinking himself drunk. And what did the Packers do tonight? What did they do tonight to help out that offense? Zero. They didn't draft another wide receiver. They haven't drafted a wide receiver since 2002, Javon Walker. I'm not making it up. I'm not. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. We'll get back to the field stuff in a moment. Bears gave up too much. Did they? I mean, you go into the season with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is your starting quarterback. That's your plan. You've got no plan. Justin Fields, to me, was the right selection. Good for the Chicago Bears to move and do that. You're still on live. I am live. Yes, I'm here on the Sports Web. Live on my page, on the Sports Web page there. Go like and follow. Ben Cornett, I didn't know about everyone else, but I think Justin Fields won't work with the Bears. He didn't look happy with when they picked him. I don't know. I think a guy like that was kind of surprised. He was surprised that the Bears would make that move. Really was. But good for him. I mean, again, the quarterback plan, what he's done in college, what he's had to overcome, throwing 5 touchdowns with broken ribs. I mean, that guy's got something special, right? I mean, it's the new NFL. You want to see a guy be mobile? He's the guy who could be mobile. He's the guy that can make all the throws. So I love what they did. And I think in the back of their mind, you look at it from the Bears standpoint and Bears fan standpoint, they always go back to that draft of Mitchell Trubisky, right? I mean, you could have had a Deshaun Watson. You could have had a Patrick Mahomes, but now you got Justin Fields tonight. So I definitely want to hear from you. Whether you're a Bucs fan, whether you're an NFL fan, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Julio going to be traded. We shall see. There's been lots of trade rumors. And again, going back to the top story of the day, Aaron Rodgers has told people in the Packers organization he doesn't want to be a part of it. Surprise, right? I mean, you draft the young guy last year. The quarterback admits to drinking himself drunk when it happens. He's an MVP. And what are the Packers doing in free agency? Nothing. Nothing to really help him out. I mean, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm not surprised by it. I feel bad for Packers fans because they've kind of gone through this before, but it's kind of the organization's problem, right? I mean, they're thinking that Rodgers is done. I think he goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. And there's teams that are listed that would be interested in Rodgers. Rumor was 49ers possibly. Giving up Jimmy G. 3rd overall pick. Not going to happen. Yeah, the Broncos, they just made a trade for Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't see that happening. I see the Raiders. John Gruden loves him some veteran quarterbacks, does he not? I mean, let's look back into Gruden's history, shall we? Vince Evans, anybody? Brian Griese, Jeff Garcia, even like Brad Johnson to a certain degree. He does not like young quarterbacks. What we've heard about Gruden is how he's not the biggest fan of a car. And Gruden changes all the time. Can you imagine getting an Aaron Rodgers? I mean, basically, you look at that division overall. You still have the Kansas City Chiefs there with Patrick Mahomes. The Los Angeles Chargers with a young quarterback in Justin Herbert. Denver getting better, you would think, with the Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock. Goodness gracious, I think they're going to be better than Drew Lock. Drew Lock was terrible with his completion percentage. Terrible. So Aaron Rodgers to John Gruden's Raiders seems like a certainty in my opinion. Yeah, we're talking Bucks tonight. Bucks make the pick at 32. They draft Joe Tryon. What do you guys think? You guys have been quiet. What's going on? You guys don't like me? No phone calls tonight? I get it. It's late, but I'm here with you. Let's talk about it. Do you like the move? I like the move. Do you like the move? What do you expect him to do in the second round? What are some teams that stood out to you? We talked about the Aaron Rodgers rumors. I think he's going to go to the Raiders because of Gruden loving veteran quarterbacks, making that thing work. They got the weapons around them. Plus, they can trade Carr to the Packers. Mac Jones to New England. Do you like that move? First time the New England Patriots have drafted a quarterback in the first round since Drew Bledsoe. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see how some of these moves work out. I love, and I told you this, I told you to watch for this, Najee Harris to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is a perfect selection by that team. Perfect. He's the perfect running back for the Steelers. Period. 3 down back. Guy that's going to put his shoulder pads down. Knock your head into tomorrow. Perfect Pittsburgh Steeler back. Perfect. I love the move. I love what Jacksonville did. I know what they started out with Trevor Lawrence. They get his running mate in Travis Etienne. I mean, Urban Meyer, they definitely got some type of sense of what they're going to do with that offense, right? And then you heard the rumors today about Tim Tebow playing tight end for them. Shocker, right? Tebow would come back and play under an Urban Meyer. What do you think about that? I mean, that's going to sell some tickets. If Trevor Lawrence isn't going to sell you tickets and Travis Etienne isn't going to sell you some tickets, Tim Tebow is definitely going to sell you some tickets. So let's go ahead. Let's read some of these comments. Let's see. Wamp. Misador. If we go quarterback, I think it'll be in the third. They could go to kid from Texas A&M and I believe it is his name is Mounds, I think. I feel Quinn. I know you like him a lot. Ben Steelers did a good pick with Najee Harris. Absolutely. Let's go out to Jeremiah here. I feel Quinn Manair should be our second pick. Definitely could look at that. They could look at that selection. Absolutely. Highly versatile lineman, small school, can play center. Ryan Jensen in the last year of his contract, possibly, certainly could be a pick. Again, the Bucs have a great opportunity here, right? I mean, it's not like they have all these needs. You're just filling, rotation. They're just filling depth. That's what they're doing. So, good stuff there. Jim says I didn't get to watch the draft. Wow. Well, let's go ahead and take this call. Jacob Scharnauer of the Hard to Count Football Podcast, my friend. You've got to be elated of what the New York Jets did tonight. Zach Wilson. And then who did they get with that second first-round pick when they traded up? Welcome to the evolution, my friend.
What's up, Peter? I mean, I'm it's nice to talk to you. Tonight, what a great night to be a Jets fan, Peter. I mean, we get Zach Wilson with that number 2 pick like everyone expected, even though as a Jets fan, I have to say I was a little bit nervous that, it's always in the back of your mind that they're going to take Mac Jones because that's just how things work with my team. But they trade up from 23 to 14. They don't give up a ton they give up their 2 third-round picks, but they get a 4th in return as well. And they take Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard from USC, who was my favorite interior offensive lineman. You replace Alex Lewis at left guard, and man, you better be running behind that left side because Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker are going to make for a mean duo on the left side of this offensive line, especially in this run-heavy Robert Saleh offense, man.
I love it. I love the move. Look, when you get a franchise quarterback and they envision that Mr. Zach Wilson is going to be that, you got to protect your quarterback. And, with that being said, what do you look for them to do tomorrow night here, the Jets, to improve on this situation? Because I think they honestly have knocked it out of the park. I love Tucker. I love his versatility out of USC. You're exactly right. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's highly versatile, highly athletic. I mean, it definitely helps out that quarterback. What do you think they're going to do in the second night? And let's go ahead and talk about this first round a little bit. But what do you think the Jets do tomorrow night?
Yeah, so tomorrow night they pick 34. With the amount of talent that's on the board, I wouldn't be surprised to see a trade down. But, I'm looking there. I'm not a huge – I like him, but for the Jets, not a huge fan of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for them. I think for another team, he'll be a lot better, a team that's more ready to win right now because he doesn't really have a position. He's kind of a positionless kind of player like we saw with Isaiah Simmons last year. Sometimes when you get to the NFL, that hurts more than it helps, especially when it comes to college football and stuff. I love Tevin Jenkins, and I think if the Jets are sitting there at 34 and they can take Tevin Jenkins and go offensive line again, he can also play the guard position well. Also, Creed Humphrey is a great pick there. He can play center, and you can move Connor McGovern over to the right side. I think that the good thing with the Jets right now is that they're in a position where they can either trade down and still get a good prospect, whether that's 5-6 picks, and then gain another third rounder, get a third rounder back maybe. Or you pick a guy at 34 and you get a first round level talent with the amount of talent that fell into the second round this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on with Jacob Charnow, the Hard Count Football Podcast here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, talking NFL draft. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go for Joe Tryon. Not really a surprise. A lot of draft pundits out there. What's your thoughts on that pick? Here's a guy that opted out last year. Before that, had 8 sacks, kind of in the same mold as a JPP and a Shaq Barrett. 6'5", 262. What are your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, Joe Tryon. I've heard a lot about him. He was a guy I heavily watched tape on. I like him a lot for the Bucs. He's a guy who he sat out last year. He might need someone he's going to be a rotational guy at first, needs to learn behind a veteran, and what better team with veteran edge rushers than JPP and Shaq Barrett, right?
Yeah. Agree.
Tryon, the Husky coming into the Buccaneers, he fits Todd Bowles' scheme really, really well. He's a guy they've had their eye on for quite some time now. I think he was getting mocked there in almost every single mock draft that I've seen at some point in time, whether that was the first or second round. I like it. I really like the pick, Peter. He doesn't need to make an immediate impact on the field, but as some of these guys get older, like a JPP, he can definitely fill that role once they're gone. Yeah, no,
I absolutely agree with that. And look, I know Christian Barmore was on the pick, but as soon as Baltimore made their selection, they went for Tryon. They knew exactly where they were going to go. What do you expect the Bucs to do in night 2 tomorrow night here?
Ooh, so that's going to be a matter of who falls to them. I don't think they trade down from 64. I think the whole trade down thing is kind of overhyped. They could trade out of the third, maybe the fourth. But I think to use first and second round talent, especially this year, it's kind of crucial for them. I think they could definitely get some guys in there that can learn behind these veterans,
sure,
and fill in for aging positions. One guy that there's a few guys I really, really like. Linebacker Nick Bolton is a name I'm watching.
Okay.
I think he might go earlier. So I like
out of Missouri. Yeah.
I like the corner position, and even offensive line, interior offensive line is one I like because you have a bunch of these guys on 1-year deals. You could definitely get a guy in there let's say a Creed Humphrey falls, let's say a Liam Eichenberg falls, or even if you need to trade up to get one of them, I think it's worth it, especially using your later draft capital to trade up and get one of these guys that can be depth for now and a starter in 2 years.
Now, I started off this broadcast by saying I was surprised by number 3. I thought it was Mac Jones. You heard Chris Sims. You heard a lot of draft pundits say it was Mac Jones. How surprised were you that it wasn't Jones at 3 and it was Trey Lance? And in your opinion, does Lance make the 49ers an automatic playoff contender, or is it going to need a couple years here to develop?
Okay, so, if we were having this conversation 2 weeks ago, Peter, I'd say, and Mac Jones gets picked, I'd say, you know what? Nah, you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Mac Jones goes there. But the fact that the last couple days I've heard that, one, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were the only people that knew who the 49ers were picking. None of the scouts did, whatever. So all this Mac Jones stuff, clearly just a red herring. And it was a smokescreen. No reason. And Trey Lance seemed, they weren't trading. Right, realistically, they weren't giving up 3 first-rounders for a guy they could have gotten at 12. It would have made no sense. I think Trey Lance is a guy who you can sit in behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year. I don't think he needs to play right away. I don't think. You can trade. You're not trading Jimmy G. You have him start the year off or whatever. Trey Lance can come in if Jimmy G is not performing at the level you want him to. You can bring him in halfway through the year. If not, you bring him in next year as a starter with a healthy team, and you even have another year of first rounders and a whole nother draft to keep building around him if need be. Does Trey Lance make them an automatic Super Bowl contender or playoff contender? I think even without Trey Lance, they were playoff contenders this season just because of that defense getting healthy and that whole team getting healthy. Lance, I'm a big fan of him. We don't really know a lot about him.
We don't. I mean, that's the thing. 17 touchdowns and no interceptions. 2 years ago, only plays 1 game, looks horrible. So I kind of understand it. And I thought Jones was more of a fit there in a Kyle Shanahan scheme because 77% completion percentage, makes quick decisions, a guy that's not going to run around the place. But look, this is the new NFL, and obviously they saw the measurables there, and they were just absolutely knocked out of their socks for Trey Lance.
Yeah, they liked him. Listen, Kyle Shanahan. If there's anybody I'm not going to question with their quarterback decisions, it's Kyle Shanahan. We saw him. He took Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl, made Matt Schaub a Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. He had that weird 3,000 passing yard year with Brian Hoyer, if you remember. He drafted Kirk Cousins. Him and his dad drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. They made him really solid. The RG3 thing was unfortunate just because of injuries. You can't coach injuries out of somebody, right? That's not how this works.
Right.
And so I think that there's nobody I'm going to question less about their quarterback moves than Kyle Shanahan. I think he definitely knows what he wants in a quarterback. He knows who can run his system, and he's going to take who he thinks was the best pick. And if he thinks that's Trey Lance, then we are nobody to question it.
That's it. You're absolutely right. Now, what do you think about the other move, the big move of the night? And it's been, quarterback driven. Of course, it started out with, Trevor Lawrence to, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Zach Wilson to the Jets. We talked about that. But Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah.
And the move by the Chicago Bears, I mean, this is a move they kind of had to make, Jacob, right? I mean, Ryan Pace is on the hot seat. Matt Nagy could be on the hot seat. They give up a first-round pick next year, so it's risky. But Fields could definitely make up for all the fans wanting a Deshaun Watson or, of course, a Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah, I like the move for the Bears. I was very excited for them. I'm not a Bears hater like a lot of other people. I'm over my fandom is in the AFC. Watching the Bears succeed is it's whatever. They're at this point. I'm 17 years old. They're kind of like the lovable losers for my generation.
Sure,
Sure. Justin Fields. I think. First of all, do you think the Bears went and that social media team deleted that QB1 post that they had a couple months ago with Andy Dolan? Because, man, they did the same thing to Mike Lennon.
They did. I mean, I was talking to Travis Staley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. They actually invited Glennon to the draft party and then drafted his replacement. I mean, who does that? It's kind of like what the Green Bay Packers did with Aaron Rodgers last year, except worse.
Oh my God. It's just that the Bears, they can never, even when they get it right, they can't get it right, man. It's really something. And they gave up a lot, I think, I think a very up until pick number 20, at the actual pick number 20, I'm sitting here saying, dude, what a trade for the Giants also, because the Bears needed to get to 11. The Giants traded back to 20. And guess what? The same guy that I wanted them to take at pick number 11, they could have taken at pick number 20. And that was Kwity Paye. That was Kwity Paye. But I don't know what the Giants were thinking when they got there to be like, let's take Kadarius Toney, who wasn't even the best receiver left on the board.
I don't get it. I don't get it either. Look, I understand they're trying to figure out if Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the future. I have no idea. The guy shows flashes of brilliance, and also he makes some trash decisions on the field, which definitely have costed this team. Going back to quarterbacks there, Aaron Rodgers in that situation, how do you think that works out? And how surprised were you hearing that rumor today with Rodgers basically wanting out of Green Bay? I was trying to let Packers fans know the guy is petty, and don't be surprised, because he is on Jeopardy, that he would threaten the Packers to retire, go and do Jeopardy until he's traded. How do you think that situation's going to work out?
Oh, how do I think that's going to... You know what? Aaron Rodgers is an unpredictable man. And I think, the end result, does he end up on another team? That's it within the next... The answer is yes, but it's a matter of when. Mm-hmm. I think tonight definitely didn't help. But to be fair, the Packers, even without any help, even without any whatever, they were the number one offense in the league last year.
Sure, because of him being the MVP, by the way.
Right. But they did not lose that game to the Bucs because of that offense.
Agree.
Right. They lost because of that defense and Kevin King getting absolutely destroyed by every receiver that went against him.
Sure.
So they draft a guy who can take that spot, thinking, you know what? We have the same guys coming in. We have Devontae Adams for another year. We have the reigning MVP. We lose. They do lose an offensive lineman. They lose their starting center in Corey Linsley, which is important because that's definitely, there was a lot of chemistry there, and it's hard for a quarterback to gain chemistry with another center, especially when he's working with one for so long, like Aaron Rodgers was. But man, I don't think drafting offense was the right move tonight. And I know that might be unpopular, but I don't think they needed to. I don't think drafting a receiver would have done anything for them besides keep that same problem that they would have that they had last season, and that was that defense.
Yeah.
Now, does Aaron Rodgers leave? Probably at some point, yes. And the end is, where does he end up getting traded to? The places I'm hearing are, I'm sure you are, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Niners. But
to me, it's the Raiders. To me, it's gonna be the Las Vegas Raiders, and I tell you why. John Gruden loves himself a veteran quarterback. Rodgers fits that mold. He wants to win now. He's gonna have final say. They can offer Derek Carr. They can offer picks. I think they make it happen. If the Raiders are on that list, Rodgers wants the Raiders. The Raiders wants Rodgers. They have to make that move. And the reason why John Gruden's making that move is because he's going back to his former team and saying, you know what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they just got Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl. We feel like we could do the same thing there. Anything else that you were surprised by the first round tonight in the draft?
Man, Peter, but imagine Aaron Rodgers goes to the Raiders. Look at that AFC West division.
Yes,
man.
I know.
Mahomes, that would be Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, who already, he already looks like an absolute stud.
Yep.
And then whoever the Broncos end up going with,
Yep.
Because the Broncos are, it's Teddy for now, whatever. We'll see. I feel like next year they'll be the number one team in the quarterback market. But it's, that division would be crazy. Anything else I'm surprised by tonight from the draft? Let me think. This is good radio. I'm sorry. No.
Hey, man, you're definitely calling the evolution of sports talk television. Appreciate that. Here on my page on YouTube on the Sports Web, we got Jacob Sharnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast, and which is on YouTube, and of course, a former platform Bucks Report, which I was a part of. Like I said, man, I tell you right now, Devontae Smith going number 10. I was surprised.
That's what I was going to say. That was my number one thing.
How did you make that trade? You make that trade to number 10. The Eagles trade with the Cowboys? What's going on? What, dogs are living with cats? What? And Devontae Smith goes to the Eagles. Give credit to where the credit is due. The Eagles trade out, and they still get the wide receiver. Most likely they covered it, although there's a lot of questions about the kid's size, 166 pounds. What do you see on tape with him, and do you have those same type of concerns with Smith to the Eagles?
With Devontae Smith, first of all, yeah, that was the craziest thing. The Eagles trading with the Cowboys was probably the most surprising thing of the night. But Devontae Smith, he was the Heisman winner last year. He's a ridiculously talented wide receiver. But no matter how talented you are, it is hard to play receiver in the NFL at 166 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. No matter who you are, no matter how good you are. Because that you risk injury. He feels like Deshaun Jackson a little bit, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Without all the character issues and maybe the injuries.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right. But the injuries, I hate to say it, but those injuries might come from, him being 166 pounds because you're getting hit. And I weigh more than Devontae Smith does. And you get hit by an NFL linebacker, and guess what? That's gonna hurt. Like you're gonna get hurt. Like you don't just get up from that. Because it's Smith, I think he can be a really great receiver. And I think that if the weight isn't a problem, then he's going to be one of, if not the top wide receiver in this class. However, the weight is a problem in my opinion, and I hate to say it because I love Smith as he's a great dude, he's a great kid, and he's a ridiculous athlete. But it's hard to play receiver at 166 pounds, man.
I agree. You have a problem with Jamar Chase to the Bengals. To me, that was a shocker for the night. I mean, look, Penei Sewell's on the board. You have an opportunity to get an offensive lineman, possibly a Rashard Slater. So, I don't know, protect the quarterback that got hurt last year, and yet you draft a wide receiver. Any problem with the Bengals and what they did at number 5? Are you okay with it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I was a guy who was harping the Penei Sewell to the Bengals at 5 kind of thing. Protect your franchise quarterback.
Right.
The receivers will come in the later rounds. No matter what receiver is there, it doesn't matter if he's getting hit 10 times a game. But Chase, I understand why they did it. Right. It's not hard to understand why. You reconnect Joe Burrow with his college wide receiver, and that won a national championship with him. And Chase is incredibly talented, and I think he's also going to be a really, really great wide receiver. But now, in my opinion, this kind of sets the Bengals back a whole nother year, because now next year we're going to be talking about, all right, well, the Bengals won 4 games, they're picking in the top 7 again, and they have to take an offensive lineman, and it's just not it. The development of Joe Burrow it's constantly getting hindered every single day by the lack of offensive line talent on this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Good stuff, Jacob. Thanks a lot for coming on here. Once again, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Absolutely, man. Peter, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bud. Anytime.
Yeah, so check out the Hard Count Football Podcast and the Hard Count Football Podcast live Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel and on Bucks Report. It's always a lot of fun, guys. Come check it out. We're going to be talking draft. A lot of draft recap for the next hour.
I know there's a lot of draft recap. Jacob, thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web. All right, boss?
Appreciate it, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Have a good night. There you go. Good stuff there from Jacob Charnow. We'll read these comments, and then, you know what? We'll just get out of here if you guys don't want to talk to me. I mean, open phone line, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. So let's go ahead, read some of these comments. Again, Bears gave up too much. Not necessarily sure about that. Jim goes, you're still on live. Absolutely. He didn't look happy. We went through that. Jeremiah says Julio is going to be traded. We'll see. Let's see. Steelers, good pick with Najee Harris. Talked about that. We talked about Quinn. Ben Cornett, no brainer. Jim says, how did Tampa get? Tampa drafted Joe Tryon, the Washington edge rusher, 6'5", 262, 8 sacks just 2 years ago. Of course, opted out this year. So what do Bucs fans think about this, guys? What do you think about the pick? Do you like the pick? Because it didn't take long for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to put the card in As soon as they were on the clock, the pick was in, so they knew exactly who they were going to go with. Welcome back, Peter. Thank you, Jeremiah. Appreciate you. Alex, I don't know what that is. I guess that's a Gator. I don't know. I want Jabril Cox in the second. Amori says, I like the pick a lot. Good. Christopher says, Rodgers versus Mahomes twice a year would be great. Would it not? I mean, could you imagine that? I could absolutely see that happening. And I just thought about it tonight. You know, the Raiders, they have the money. They'll work it out. Gruden makes the final decisions there. If Rodgers wants the Raiders and the Raiders want Rodgers, I think it happens eventually. We want Quinn Meinerz. We shall see. I like what the Chargers did by getting Rashawn Slater, somebody great to protect Herbert. See, they got the idea, Ben. They got and that's what I was looking at with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, this is typical Bengals stuff. This is what the Bengals do. You have two offensive linemen on the board. Your quarterback is coming off a serious injury, and he drafted a wide receiver. And I get it. Chase is a stud. 2 years removed from 84 receptions. I mean, he's a stud. He's got the chemistry with Burrow, but you have an opportunity to get a Penei Sewell. Ask the Lions what they decided to do. They decided to draft an offensive tackle. I think that was the right move, and I definitely think what the Chargers did to get Slater to protect their quarterback in a Justin Herbert, who's only going to get better because of that pick. I don't have to tell you what an offensive lineman means to a team. You look at Tristan Wirfs and his impact. Picking at number 13, Slater went number 14? How good was Tristan Wirfs last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And some people were actually complaining because they had to trade up one spot. I think they gave up a 4th-round pick. I give up a 4th-round pick all day long. The way Wirfs played last year, flawlessly as a rookie, take that all day long. How important was that pick last year? May translate on how important the Slater pick is for the Chargers and that young quarterback in a Justin Herbert. All right, let's go out to Sean, the Sports Don. Sean, welcome to the Evolution late here on a Thursday draft night as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Joe Tryon from Washington. Your thoughts, my friend?
Oh, man, I think it's a great pick, for the Bucs, just for the mere fact that you're talking about a position. And I know everyone said we didn't have a position of need so the Bucs can get the best player available, but I actually think it was a need in a way because you didn't really have depth behind JPP and Shaq Barrett. So now you get a guy in the first round that you can work with who, by the way, by all accounts, he's a business-like approach that he takes to working out based on everybody was talking about him. And, in the pre-draft, working out, he comes ready to work. So, the Bucs have a culture. So you have a JPP. We know he's all about business. Sue is all about business. You got a professional Will Golston there. I mean, you got guys that he can learn from just how to be a professional. So from that standpoint, he'll be fine because now they'll be able to utilize that athleticism that he has. He's very versatile. I think it's a very good pick for the Bucs. And again, there's no pressure on him right now to come out right now and be dominant. But he can come out and give somebody some good minutes, a good spell on the bench, and you can come in here and see what you can do as a rookie. I'm not expecting 8 sacks from him, so fans, please don't do that. But just from a spot standpoint, I think right now from day one he'll probably be a better pass rusher than Nelson is right now. And that's no knock on Nelson. He's a Buck. But, Nelson leaves some things to be desired from a backup standpoint. And we always know, man, if JPP goes down or if Barrett goes down, they're a little worried. And I think the Bucs did a lot to shore up that worry by bringing that young man in. And, oh, by the way, you get that 5th-year option if he turns out to be anything special, which, again, from athleticism standpoint, from his tape standpoint, I don't think he played last year, but he has a lot that you can work with. And I think, the Bucs did themselves a service by getting that young man.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they did themselves a service by getting him because he definitely has all the potential in the world. And you talk about it, he opted out last year, but the 2 years before he had 8 sacks, Of course, the Bucs don't need that production. They like to have that production, but he's a rotational player. And look, you're exactly right. You have JPP who's getting up there in age. He's coming off an injury. You still have Shaq Barrett. But besides that, what else do you have? To me, it's a move that you have to make. You can never go wrong here, Shawnee, with getting somebody that can rush from the outside, an interior guy, an outside guy. I don't think you ever go wrong. I mean, those are the positions, even an offensive lineman at that point. And because the Bucs have returned everybody, the re-signing of Antonio Brown, first team to return 22 starters in the salary cap era. I mean, this has been an absolutely phenomenal offseason for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, in your opinion, do you think they've actually topped last offseason? I get it. You get Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, but, there's a lot of pundits out there that, thought, Sean, that they weren't going to be able to sign these players, and they've gotten everybody in the fold. And then you add Tryon tonight. I mean, did this absolutely knocked it out of the park, right?
Well, I believe it's a much better than last year's for two simple reasons. I mean, what we were doing last year, it was a matter of, well, can they win it all, or will they win it all? And what you saw them do is win it all. So now that they won it all, and then you were able to bring back everybody, like you said, and we saw the GM and the coach say that at the Super Bowl party, you were able to bring them back. So, yes, this is a better one because now you don't have to ask the question of whether or not they can win it all because they've already won it all. So keeping that continuity, yes, this is better than it was last year because you actually know exactly what you can and cannot do, what everyone can and cannot do. So when you hit the ground running on in the OTAs and in training camp, outside of a lot of teams where you're trading players or you're getting new players, signing free agents from other teams, there's still that time where you have to learn what this new player can and cannot do within your system. Where in this case, the Bucs are not learning that. They're adding to the playbook now. They're not trying to bring anybody up to speed. They're just adding on what they already know. So that's why this is a better situation than it was last year. Because last year, again, no one knew anybody. That's why it took us all half a season before we got caught our stride. This year, it's not that. So, yes, this offseason is better than what last offseason was.
All right, good stuff there. And what do you expect them to do tomorrow night? I mean, what are you looking for? Could they go defensive tackle? Could they go offensive lineman? Of course, they could go certain positions. You don't expect them to go wide receiver with the Brown re-signing. How surprised were you by the Brown re-signing, by the way?
I wasn't surprised at all. I knew that was going to happen. It was like, again, the Bucs said we're bringing everybody back. So that's what they did. I mean, maybe they were waiting to see what happened with with that court case or whatnot before they actually put pen to paper. Because I think after the court case took place, they put pen to paper like 2 or 3 days later. So I'm not surprised by it. Brady wanted him. He wanted to be here. All of that other stuff was just fodder for people to write about and talk about that they're not bringing back Brown. The Bucs know exactly, or especially not just the Bucs, but Tom Brady knows exactly what he wants in terms of having Antonio Brown
exactly.
And how important that is just for the case again. When you have injuries, Mike Evans goes down for 2 or 3 games, knock on wood, you still have Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin, and vice versa. If Antonio Brown goes down, you still have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans to play. So, those type of moves you have to make. I'm not surprised that Cameron Brate is still here because we know O.J. Howard has injury issues. Gronkowski, he's been injured in his career. So you want to have a stable of players that if there is an injury, again, you can still survive and still perform at a high level. That's why picking that young man today, I think, was a really big deal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do want to say this. What they're going to do in the next couple of rounds, I have no idea. I would think they would probably still look at a cornerback. Me, I'm all defensive if I can. I'm sure they're probably going to try to get an interior lineman somewhere in this draft, just to bolster that part up. Maybe even a swing tackle, some type of tackle somewhere, because again, I think the depth on the tackle is a little bit offensive tackle I'm talking about.
Sure.
Is a little slim. So we'll see. But I think the Bucs have a game plan. I think they have the type of players that they want to pick. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to fill this team out. One thing I say about this draft, though, there are a couple moves that I think stood out to me with teams. What we do know, 50% of these players are not going to do anything in the league.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's just
that's just how it is. I mean, you got your fair share of bust. And look, I think the quarterback for the Jets, unless they build something around him, we could be talking about him in a couple years being a bust. Who knows? And I hope not, because he definitely looks like he could be a New York type of guy. Fifth Avenue's got the smile, everything you want. But at the end of the day, is he going to have the same type of success that he had in college? Usually doesn't work out that way, because the Jets are, not necessarily great, but I think they took a big time step, but not only getting a Zach Wilson, but also getting somebody on that left side, along with the offensive tackle they got last year to protect him. I think they did a better job, in my opinion, than the Bengals. I'm just scratching my head. Look, I get it. You have Jamar Chase on the board. He has chemistry with Joe Burrow, but you have offensive tackles, Sean, there that you should draft to protect your quarterback, and yet you're looking at wide receiver, and you kind of wonder why not only Burrow could get hurt again, but the Bengals continue to be a laughingstock in the league.
Well, I will say this one thing about the Jets, and a lot of the moves they made in the offseason, you got to go back and look at that. I think they're doing a great job of building that team. I don't think the Jets are as putrid as one may think. I think that that quarterback may have more things to work with this year than Darnold did last year. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Now, as it relates to Cincinnati, I hear that. And people were saying, well, he got sacked 15 times or 52. He was on pace to be sacked 52 times and everything. But there's something to be said about that chemistry that he has with that guy. Okay. And they want us to go ahead and get him. Because, by the way, you can pick a tackle in the second round. You can pick a guard in the second round. I mean, don't we have Donovan Smith here? Don't we have Ollie Marquette
but you got to nail the pick. I say, why take the chance? I mean, you got a Penei Sewell from Oregon. You got Rashawn Slater. Those are first-round tackles.
Here's the thing again, though. Who do you have? How do you have everybody graded, and who do you think fits what you're talking about? So when you have a quarterback,
but what do you got at wide receiver if you're the Bengals? You got T. Higgins, you got Taj Boyd. I mean, it's not like you don't have weapons there. I get it. You lost A.J. Green, but come on, man. Draft an offensive tackle. That's what I look at.
I hear that. And I'm not saying you're wrong for that, but I'm just saying what they're looking at is, again, you're talking about someone who could actually go ahead and be your number one right now, possibly from day one. I mean, we all know that about Jamar Chase. It wasn't like he was a reach, because everybody had him going in the top 10. And they fell in love with it because, again, you have that chemistry with the starting quarterback that you have. So you go ahead and get him. And again, this is an offensive-driven league. People are putting up points here, man. And that's why you saw what the Atlanta Falcons did, which is a great pick. And that's what Cincinnati's doing. And again, you can get you some offensive linemen in the second and third round that can help with that. So don't give up hope yet for them as it relates to offensive line.
I hope so. Yes, Justin Fields. Justin Fields to Chicago. Was that a good move? Good move.
That was the best move of the night.
I agree.
The best
look, the Bears have to make that move, okay? You got Pace, who's on the hot seat. You have Matt Nagy. You got the greatness of Andy Dalton, Mr. Howdy Doody, being your starting quarterback, which he has no business being a starting quarterback in the NFL. So you have to go after Justin Fields. And I get it. You give up a number one pick next year, but you have to make the move. The young man threw for 5 touchdowns with broken ribs against Clemson and beating them. I love the move for the Chicago Bears. I love the move for the fans, because the fans are still talking about to this day with them missing out on a Watson and, of course, a Mahomes.
Right, and now you bring this guy in who's just as dynamic from the feet standpoint. But you're talking about a guy. I mean, he runs a 4.3. But you're talking about a guy who's played at a high level his whole career, went to big time schools, played in big time games, so he's ready for the moment. Sure, he has some things he has to clean up mechanically. That's all rookie quarterback outside of, if you're, John Elway when you come out. But I think from a fan standpoint, they can very well be excited. And oh, by the way, you may have the best quarterback in the division if Aaron Rodgers gets traded. So, that's one of those things that how quickly that turns around, because You're not looking at golf like that. You know what I mean? Obviously, I know the guy from Minnesota, but please, come on. I mean, okay.
Kirk
You know
Cousins.
what I mean?
Yeah.
He's okay. I mean, you know, he may have it by default, but
He's
really,
always
honestly,
okay. He's just okay. He's being paid like
right,
a.
but honestly, this
right.
guy can be dynamic right now because I would put him and Jordan Love on the same level in terms of starting out the gate, but this guy can actually be the best quarterback in that division next year. So I think it's a great move for the Bears. You know, he's going to be in a position too where he doesn't have to win games 30 to 35 because he has a defense that's not going to let someone score a lot of points. So he can have those games where he's not on, but he can still win because maybe he pick up a key first down with his feet. So it's a very intriguing pick for them early here, and I'm interested to see how that young man played, and I'm happy for him.
How do you see the Aaron Rodgers situation working out? Is this going to work out really bad for the Packers this weekend?
Oh man, well I tell you, when someone comes out and says I'm not going to play for you no more,
right? It's like he and his agent said, you know what, we're going to go to Adam Schefter and say how absolutely the Packers are terrible and we don't want to be a part of this team anymore. It just looks so bad. And the teams that have been mentioned, the 49ers, I don't see the Packers trading him to the 49ers.
They got Trey Lance, so that's not going to happen.
Right.
Now.
I do not see them trading him to Denver because Denver picked up Teddy Bridgewater. So for me, it's the Raiders or nothing with the John Gruden. I won't say nothing, but I'm just saying the teams that make sense at this point. John Gruden makes sense with the Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on. Denver is still in that mix, bro.
You think so with the trade of Teddy Bridgewater?
All right. So I'm asking you, who would you rather have, Teddy Bridgewater or Aaron Rodgers?
You know who I would say, but I just believe that
Denver and John we're not going to say, well, because we have Teddy Bridgewater, we're not going to try to get Aaron Rodgers if I can.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, look, Elway's pulled it off before. He's gotten Peyton Manning. He's gotten Joe Flacco. I mean, it's certainly a possibility.
And there's a reason why Aaron Rodgers put that on the list. So let me tell you something. Teddy Bridgewater, if you might have been a starter, but by going with Paxton Lynch, but now guess what? You're going to get your familiar role by sitting on the bench. Paxton Lynch, whatever his name is.
Drew Lock. Totally different quarterbacks. Yes.
Whatever. Hey, look, that's potato. Come on, you know that. You know it and I know it. You're going to take the customary position by sitting on the bench for a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that's what would happen there. But I'm with you, though. I think it'd be more intriguing to see him go play with John Gruden because it just seems like he'd be a Raider and I could just see him in that black uniform. I think it'll look really cool to see how him and John Gruden can work together. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers, I thought they did a great job.
Oh yeah, Najee Harris, that's a slam dunk. That's the pick right there. That you haven't had Le'Veon Bell. They got rid of James Conner to Arizona. They didn't have a commitment to the run. Hopefully they have a commitment to the run, and I think they get that with the Harris, who's definitely a 3-down back.
Yeah, he's a 3-down back for you, and you can go back to pounding that ball because we see that Ben Roethlisberger is not a 50 attempt passer anymore. That's a bad thing can happen if that were to take place. So you get him a running game. So now you can lean on that defense a little bit more. You can lean on that running game a little bit more, and then you can still be explosive in the passing game because they do have weapons out there. So I thought that was a great pickup. Last great pickup, my Cleveland Browns. My Cleveland Browns getting Newsom. That was the guy I had circled.
Love it. Love the pick.
I love that pick because they had issues. I mean, their offensive stack is ready to go. They had issues with the secondary last year. Greedy Williams hasn't stepped up yet to what he's supposed to be. I think they had MJ Stewart over there who was getting beat constantly a little bit. So
shocker.
Getting that young
shocker that MJ Stewart is getting beat. Shocker. Complete shocker.
Getting that young man over there to groom to really probably blossom into like a number one cornerback. I mean, I think that's just a great pickup for them, and I'm interested to see how that young man plays because that's the one I wanted to steal in this Buccaneers team.
Good stuff, Sean, the Sports Don, my former co-host from a radio station in a galaxy far, far away. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution here late at 1:09 in the morning. Very cool, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. No problem, brother. I have problems in the morning trying to go to work, but it's all good.
Well, we got the draft in. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution, all right?
All right, but I'll talk to you tomorrow if you do the same thing.
Oh, sounds good to me, man. You know me. I probably will. So we'll read the rest of these comments, and then we get no phone calls. Then I'm just going to wrap it up for the night, guys. Again, the big story of the night in the first round, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 32 take Washington edge rusher Joe Tryon. What are your thoughts? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. All right. Read these comments. I like the Slater. I like that. Murray says, personally, I like the Bears move. A move they had to make, and they did it. Jeremiah says it's a joke. Ben says Kellen Mond. That's exactly who it is. Kellen Mond. Absolutely. Alex says it's whoop, Peter. I don't know what that means, but I'll go ahead and do the buzzer on that. Stanford Davis Mills. That's right. Out of Stanford. The quarterback there, Davis Mills, would be out of Stanford. Let's see. Light said he turned down trade offers because Tryon was the guy. So there you go. Get a chance to maybe recap that probably tomorrow night. We'll see what the Bucs do tomorrow night. It may be another late night, but we'll see. They need a badass Vera Tucker to protect Wilson. Jets on paper picked well this draft. Absolutely. Jeremiah says, who's Tyson Campbell? Believe he's a corner from Georgia. Jim says, D-line for the Buccaneers first pick. No, they went Joe Tryon. 49ers hope that Lance sits for a year, which I don't understand. If you're giving up all those picks, I think Jimmy G is out of there. I think I thought it could be with the New England Patriots, but now Mac Jones is there, so who knows? But certainly, I guess it's a possibility. That's why I saw Mac Jones going in the 49ers, because I thought he could come in right away. So, best DB, in your opinion, left on the board in the Bucs board. Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State. That's one of my guys. The Slim Reaper. Jeremiah says Samari Rowland. Jeremiah says Samari Rowland. I know what you're talking about. Fred Swayze Moore Rodgers to the Dolphins. Wow. I don't know. Seems like they're pretty happy with Tua. Getting him Jalen Waddle. That's a good move. Waddle being compared to Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins hope he is. With Will Fuller on one side and Waddle on the other. Good call. My sentiments exactly. Jim says, win, no matter what. Win, 100%. Jim says, go Bucs. Let me go in and fire those cannons. Alex Nunser says, wanted a quarterback. Still a possibility. Kyle Trask is still on the board, Gator fans. Don't worry. And also, again, Kellen Mond from Texas A&M. And what's your thoughts on Tebow? Look, if anybody can make it work in an Urban Meyer offense, is Tim Tebow. If he wants to be a tight end, and there's been a lot of people that would suggested early on in his career, that's the change he should have made. If he wants to be a tight end with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I definitely think he's going to be in shape. I think Urban Meyer will make it work. Tebow knows Meyer's offense. You look at what they done. I love what Jacksonville did tonight. Again, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. They already have James Robinson there. They drafted Laviska Shenault from Colorado last year. DJ Shark. I mean, they're starting to put weapons together for this kid, and that's what they're going to have to do in this offense. So why not Tim Tebow at the tight end position? So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Again, the big news of the night, besides the fact Trevor Lawrence is the number one overall pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 32, Washington edge rusher Joe Tryon. We'll get more thoughts tomorrow here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Definitely join me then late on this Thursday draft night, almost Friday morning. Do three things for me, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in once again. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. See you tomorrow night on the Sports Web.